And now to the business of the day. Without further ado, I call to the podium our chair of the day, Nina Hunter, to take over our meeting. Thank you, Nina.
Thank you, President Chris. Rotarians and guests, it's my pleasure to introduce today our speaker, Dr. Rod Irwin. Today our speaker is a global authority on helping people move beyond mindset thinking to be globally wired for success. This will be a hard room, we're all wired for success. Greater success. I have to change that, see? You will open your mind to the amazing inner workings of your brain, destroy preconceived notions about mindsets, and share with you the keys to wire your brain for success, all proven by science, giving you tangible and practical strategies to use right now, taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond. He's a scientist, author, and business person who knows firsthand the highest of highs and the lowest of lows of modern business life. The manuscript for his book, Get Wired for Success, was accepted by the first publisher he sent it to, a rare feat. He has now transformed his book into a corporate keynote, workshops, and a bespoke multimedia online training experience so you and your teams can engage more, achieve more, and enjoy more. His super strength is his ability to weave science, business, and amazing stories of human triumph into a winning formula for your success. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to unleash your amazing potential. Please welcome the author of Get Wired for Success, Dr. Rod Irwin.
Thank you all. This area has a very special meaning for me because my wife and I were married in the next room about 21 years ago. And as she walked in the door, a rainbow lit up over the bay. So it couldn't be a better spot. Down to work. A 2023 Gallup State of the Global Workplace report reported that only 23% of employees are actively engaged at work. 23%. The rest are quietly quitting or actively disengaged. 47% experienced stress in their previous working day and 11% experienced anger. Most of us would agree that this is an awful waste of human potential with the knock-on effects of reduced performance, productivity and profits, not to mention well-being. My name is Rod Irwin, and let's talk today about ways we can improve this situation for ourselves and our teams in business and life. Imagine if we could wave a magic wand and change the state of play. Well, if it was only that easy. The good news is that there are easy to use, simple, and easy to understand, scientifically proven strategies that you can use to unleash the awesome power of the human brain to engage more, achieve more, and enjoy more. Some of these strategies will reduce negative emotions, beliefs, and thinking. Others will enhance or amplify positive emotions, thinking, and beliefs. And these strategies can be used throughout our life. They're lifelong skills. So some of you may be thinking, I don't need any of these strategies because I'm really in a good position at the moment, and that's great. But I know from personal experience that life has its ups and downs. We don't know what's around the corner. And these strategies can be pulled out of your hip pocket at any moment and used straight away. You may be extremely time poor. I know what being time poor is like, having managed an insanely busy business. But these strategies may only take a minute or seconds. This isn't hype, feel-good mumbo-jumbo, or positive spin. These strategies are anchored in rigorously proven science. And they are easy to understand and critically easy to do. Please call me Rod, and I'm the director of Get Wired for Success. And over the past 15 years, I've developed a special interest in what I call the intersection between neuroscience, business, and success theory. What I've learned is this, that you can wire your brain for greater and greater success in business and life. And what that means is that you can engage more, achieve more, and critically enjoy more. So let's dive in. Now, it isn't just positive spin. We need negative emotions and thinking. If we didn't have negative emotions and thinking, we'd miss the dangers and the threats in our life. When we were evolving in Africa, we needed negative emotions and thinking to escape the lions. These days it isn't lions, it's interest rates and inflation and real estate prices and competition and whatever challenges you have in your life. We also bring to our life experience both positive and negative experiences that have shaped our minds into what they are today. Our early years with our parents were enormously formative. And then the influence of our teachers and students, if you went to tertiary education, your mentors, work colleagues, bosses, friends, media, national, international and local events have all shaped you and the brain that you're carrying between your ears to be the very person you are now. Some of those beliefs, emotions and thinking are positive, and some, and for some people profoundly so, very negative and can interfere with your or our path to success. How do we leave the baggage behind? We're going to go to Leipzig on our journey of discovery, and the year is 1938 in Germany. And it's about this man, Eddie Jacu, who, by his own words, is the happiest man on earth. And very briefly, to recap on Eddie's life. Eddie was born in 1920, and by 1938 he was a gifted engineer. And his life was seeming to him perfect except for one cloud on his horizon, and that was, of course, the rise of Nazism. Eddie got himself into trouble. He threw stones at a Nazi youth rally and was arrested and put into jail. His father at the time was mates with the mayor and got him released and sent him far away from Leipzig to keep Eddie out of trouble. Eddie returned home one day to celebrate his parents' anniversary and to find the house empty, and his parents had been arrested, and it was the night of the Kristallnacht, the night in which the Nazis stormed the Jewish settlements around Germany, broke down their businesses, smashed their windows, and imprisoned thousands and thousands of Jews. Eddie slept in an empty house. In the morning he was arrested and sent to Buchenwald. He escaped and was rearrested and went to Auschwitz, where he was reunited with his parents. There, he witnessed his parents led away to the gas chambers, later to be cremated. He was put to work for the German war machine because of his engineering skills. He was tortured, malnourished, but survived the war. He later emigrated to Belgium, married, had a son, and then moved to Australia, where, because of his engineering skills, he set up an automotive business in Sydney. He was so successful, he added a Renault garage, and then went into real estate. On retirement, he led visitors through the Jewish Centre in Sydney, telling them about his experiences in the Holocaust, doing his little bit to make sure that something like that never happened again. He was awarded the Order of Australia, and at the age of 100 wrote this book, The Happiest Man on Earth. And he said these words, "Life can be beautiful if you make it beautiful. It is up to you." How did Eddie leave his past behind? And how do we leave our past behind? How do we clear away the rubbish in our past that prevents us from going to greater and greater success? And for some people, the baggage of their past is huge. Well, to answer that question properly, you have to undertake Dr. Rod's 3-minute, easy to understand neuroscience course. So, in your brain there are approximately, give or take a few billion, 86 billion brain cells. And each cell connects with over 100,000 other brain cells. And there are 1 million new connections and disconnections going on every second. Now, I want you to remember that number in red. 1 million new connections and disconnections happening in your brain at every second. Tens of millions have happened in your brain since I've started that slide. Extraordinary stuff. Now, this graphic shows the little circles. I'd like you to imagine that they're brain cells, and the lines between them connecting the connections. We're going to use this graphic extensively throughout the talk. And it's of course an oversimplicity, but just for the purposes of demonstration. So it's complex, and even identical twins born with identical brains end up very similar people because of all those environmental influences that go on. Here we have the extrovert and introvert. Now, I set you the test. How many new brain cell connections happen every second? 1 million. Well, before I set you the test, you were unaware of that fact. But when I set you the test, in your mind, you formed a new little brain cell network, as illustrated by the blue cells and their connections. Our life depends on these brain cell networks. How do you lift a cup to your lips is a brain cell network. If it's too hot and you take it away, that too is a brain cell network. Your memory of your childhood home is a brain cell network. If I said the title to your favourite tune, you would know the words and the music. That's a brain cell network. Get the idea? Even an idea is a brain cell network. Some networks are lost with time. So this little network here might be a phone number you used to remember 5 years ago, but the disconnections are important, and that phone number has been lost, and they make way for new connections. Some brain cell networks are very important, such as applying a brake in a car during an emergency. The brain cell networks for important networks involve many cells with strong and enduring connections so that we can call upon them at any given second. And these brain cell networks govern our lives. Every moment of our lives is run by them. So when you enter a shopping mall and you're besieged by sights and sounds and smells, and you have to navigate your way through it, buy what you want, get back out of it, all run by brain cell networks that you weren't even aware of. Because of the connection and disconnection going on between cells, our brains are plastic. changing all the time. And this has given rise to the term that you may be familiar with, neuroplasticity, the science of how our brains wire and rewire. So what was Eddie's secret to survival? He focused on the present, survival, and he focused on the future, that one day will be better. He ignored the past. He survived, thrived, and flourished. Because if we don't use the negative brain cells in our network, they disconnect with time. And if the red cells can be imagined as negative brain cell networks, if we don't use them, they slowly fade and fade until they become what's called a distant memory, no longer interfering with us. And if we focus on the present and a positive future, the brain cell networks associated with those goals become slowly larger and larger, more enduring and stronger, until they become hardwired. So the first key to wiring your brain for success is drop your baggage of the past. Hardwiring is difficult to undo, but can be undone. With disuse, negative beliefs, thinking and emotions become benign memories. The past is over. We must learn from it. Obviously, those past lessons are well earned, but let the past be. Focusing on the present and the wonderful future liberates us from the scripts of the past. We changed direction now to Los Altos, California in 1976. And the person that lived in that house, the young man that lived with his parents, began designing computers in that garage with a mate called Woz. Can anyone guess who it might be? Steve Jobs? Steve Jobs. Iconic product after iconic product. Apple is now the largest company in the world with a market capitalisation of over $3.05 trillion. Not bad for a college dropout. Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, was asked, how did Steve do that? Mobilise so many thousands of people to produce such amazing products that have influenced all our lives. And Tim replied, insanely great. That's what Steve wanted. Insanely great products. In 2 words, Steve was able to inspire his workforce with an inspiring goal to aim for, an uplifting model for Apple's products, and a winning strategy. And goals, models, and strategies guide positive wiring. Goals are brain cell networks, like a team striving for a trophy. Models are brain cell networks, like this pair of dancers dancing, aware of every breath and every moment. And strategies are brain cell networks, like sports people knowing what to do when the weather changes, when they're off their best, or when the team's winning, all governed by brain cell networks in their mind. By focusing on goals, models and strategies, we can slowly guide our brain to build networks that support them, again, as illustrated by the blue circles and lines, building bigger and bigger brain cell networks until they become underpinning our path to the future. And that's what Steve was able to do. He and us don't just wire our brains for success, but we can wire other people's brains for success too, by building networks in their minds. So the 6th key, and there are 12 of them, I surely don't have time to talk about them all now, is the toolkit for success. Remembering goals, models and strategies guides positive wiring. Clarifying and simplifying personal vision personal and business vision, mission and values. They are strategies to guide you and are worthy of clarification and simplification. Developing easy to remember financial reports are models that can be used for decisions. When I worked for a corporate, each lead was given a 15-page report every month, which was just figures and nothing ever came out of it, and no decision was ever made. Clarifying your hopes, dreams and aspirations is important too, because they are goals and we can make them reality. So, a change of pace. Imagine you're led through this door into an auditorium and you're on stage and you're faced with an audience of all the people from your past, teachers, friends, people you've worked with, partner, family, and a compere comes up to you and says, "This is your life." You open the book and you turn to a page and you see this wonderful scene of a page from the past that you've experienced. The pages have many. If you turn the pages, you'll find that some pages are amazing things that you've remembered, and others are not so good things that you've remembered. And if we focus on those not so good things, I'd like you to imagine, and just take 5 seconds, to remember a day or two in your life which has been really memorable for its being awful, a sad time, perhaps the passing of a loved one, a difficult person to live with, a difficult accident you witnessed. Just think of that day. The reason why that day is etched in your mind is that because emotions associated with that day instantly, strongly, and enduringly form negative brain cell networks in your mind. Now, because we should always end on positive notes, I'd like you to turn another page in that leaf of the book and think of the most joyous occasion, as I did, describing the rainbow when my wife walked in the door. Just take 5 seconds to think about one of the best days, a birth, a wedding, a celebration, promotion, someone lovely you worked with. So the reason you can remember that is positive emotions form instant, strong and enduring brain cell networks that have stayed with you until now. And that's the 11th key. Emotions are the glue that makes memories stick. To make great first impressions, use positive emotions. Emotional intelligence, our ability to use emotions, accounts for 50% of your business and life success. And unlike IQ, you can wire your brain for higher and higher emotional intelligence. Wiring your brain for success is a skill. It's easy to learn. It requires reflective thinking. And the 12 keys that I've developed provide a logical framework when applied to business and life. And the benefits are truly wonderful. We're going to hand out a synopsis of this talk. 3 key points: engagement, achievement, and enjoyment are often sadly lacking in business and life. Our brains are not set, but in a constant state of flux and change. And there are some simple, science-based, easy to understand strategies to take control of this change and unleash the awesome power of your brain. If this talk has resonated with you, I hold keynote presentations, workshops, a home learning course and coaching. And on the back of the synopsis are details of those things. So, Nina, I believe we're open to questions.
Okay, we have time for questions. Could you please stand if you want to ask a question and state your name?
Peter Habsburger. On your first slide, you indicated that I think it was 12% of people who are angry who are employed. What can those angry people do to improve their anger?
Was it Peter? Peter, great question, thank you. I could answer it very simplistically and say, get wired for success. I think that in part, there's so many facets to that, but in part I think the first skill that people need when they undertake this journey is self-awareness. They have to be aware of the state they're in. And if they actually put a name to that emotion, which in this case is anger, that is the first step. And with Eddie's example of being able to leave the past behind and focus on the present and the future, we then go to the opposite of anger, which is, I guess, happiness or acceptance. Let's call it acceptance. If they're in an angry state, they have to say, well, okay, what's the opposite of that? Acceptance or happiness. And focus on that. And the brain cell networks that underpin the angriness slowly fade with time, because if you don't use them, they go away. It takes time, but they fade, become less holding. And the brain cell networks that support the acceptance or the happiness become stronger and stronger, which is an extraordinary fact in itself. But the brain cell networks of both those things either weaken or strengthen with age.
Bruce Davidson. I know people that seem to be able to come up with something worse than what the topic of discussion is. So whenever you talk about something bad, they can always think of something worse. Now, I think you're saying the less times that you revisit those things, the better, and eventually they'll disappear. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm sorry, I missed your name too. Bruce. That is exactly correct. By ignoring the negative past, the circuits that support those weaken with time. They don't completely go away, but what they become is a benign memory instead of dominating the landscape. And then the things, the present, what they should be engaged with, and the wonderful future become stronger and stronger. And I think you'd mostly sense, given so many states such as anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress, and so on, pessimism, that there's a lot to do out there, because this brain is a fabulous organ, able to do so much. We're only just scraping the surface of what we can do with it. Thank you.
Rod, hi, Cheryl Lacey here. How does this concept of rewiring the brain to remove negativity blend with problem solving and innovation?
Sorry, could you repeat both your name and the question?
Okay, so Cheryl Lacey,
yeah.
And you've talked about rewiring the brain to remove negativity.
Yes. How
does that merge then with the concept of problem solving and innovation?
Great, thank you, Shelley. Removing the negative aspects of our lives frees us up to focus on the present and the positive parts, because whether we're held back by self-imposed limitations or anxieties or fears, or just the thought that we can't do something or that can't be done, is immediately placing limits on what might be done. So if we can remove all of those, it clears the floor for creativity and innovation. And creativity is a key part of and emotional intelligence. And the competency of being creative is enabled to be, or better enabled, when we can focus on it with a clear mind. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
It would have only been a hairy question anyway, I know that man well. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you'll agree with me that was a very informative speech. Rod, on behalf of the Rotary Club of Melbourne, I'd like to give you this little gift for your presentation, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity for speaking. I'd just like to close by saying that our beliefs, emotions and thinking often seem battered around by outside forces, and 15 years ago my life was battered around by outside forces. Pardon me. When we rely our brains for success, it puts us back in control and wonderful new horizons open up. So let's put aside mindsets and focus on the fact that science can enable our minds to achieve great things and indeed enable us to achieve and enjoy life to a much greater extent. Thank you so much for your attention.